Today we have an iPhone 15 Pro that went through water damage and now won't power on. The customer has important data inside, so our goal is to bring this board back to life safely and recover everything we can. Since the customer reported water damage and no power, the first thing we need to do is check the main battery power lines with a multimeter. This helps us confirm whether there is a short circuit and prevents further damage to other chips when we apply external power later. The measurement shows that the main power line is not shorted. So next, we'll inject power with the multimeter and observe the current draw. If there's no leakage, or the leakage is very small, we can try to power it on and see if the board responds. The power injection test shows a small amount of leakage. So now, we'll press the power button and see if the board can boot into the main interface. If it responds, we can proceed with data recovery. At this point, we can see that the screen shows the Apple logo, but the device is stuck in a logo loop and cannot enter the system. This usually indicates deeper issues on the main power rails or damage caused by the water. Before removing the motherboard, I want to run another power injection test. The previous test was done by touching the pads directly with tweezers, which isn't very stable. So this time, we'll clamp the power leads properly and check the current again to confirm the leakage. Since the motherboard shows leakage, the safest way to recover the customer's data is to repair the board directly. So we'll take the motherboard out and start working on the damaged area to restore proper power and get the device to boot. We can see clear signs of water corrosion inside the phone frame, especially around the bottom side of the motherboard. Before taking the board out, we'll clean the area first and then use the multimeter to check again for any signs of short circuits. Since we don't have a preheater for the iPhone 15 Pro, we'll separate the layers using a hot air gun. This method requires more control, but it allows us to access the internal layers safely, so we can locate and repair the leakage that's preventing the device from booting. After separating the motherboard layers, we can clearly see that one section of the chips has severe corrosion. This kind of damage is typical in water-damaged devices and can easily cause leakage, boot issues, or instability. We'll focus on this area first and begin cleaning and repairing it. The corroded area is part of the main power supply section of the motherboard. This chip is the charging IC, and damage here can cause several issues. Unstable or leaking power on the main battery line, the device failing to boot, or getting stuck at the Apple logo. Abnormal current draw that prevents the system from loading, overheating or shutdown during startup. Inability to charge the battery properly. We'll clean and repair this area to restore stable power so the device can boot for data recovery. This corroded area is also responsible for the touch function. When the charging IC and the surrounding power circuits are damaged, the touch controller doesn't receive stable voltage. That can cause symptoms like unresponsive touch, delayed touch, or the screen not reacting at all. So repairing this section is essential not only for booting, but also for restoring proper touch functionality. Alright, now we're going to replace the charging IC. Since this chip is heavily corroded and responsible for both the main power supply and touch functionality, replacing it is the most reliable way to restore stable voltage and eliminate the leakage that's preventing the device from booting. Here, I'm using a needle to pry the chip up. The advantage of this method is that the leverage helps lift the chip quickly. So the moment it pops up, I can immediately remove the hot air. This prevents the motherboard from overheating and protects the surrounding chips from heat damage, because this is a large power management IC. The bottom of the chip is sealed with which makes it very easy to blow the solder balls apart if we use direct heat. So instead, I'm using straight hot air at 400 degrees Celsius with 60% airflow, but blowing from the opposite direction of the chip. Did you know that the charging IC and its EEPROM are encrypted? When we replace the charging IC, we also need to replace the paired EEPROM, or use a specialized programmer to rewrite the EEPROM data. Without the correct pairing, the new charging IC will not function, because the power management system won't pass authentication. Now we'll use low temperature solder to drag the solder first. Because the chip was water damaged, many of the pads were corroded, making it difficult for the solder to stick. So we raised the temperature to 230 degrees Celsius with a hot air gun and use an angled soldering iron tip to smooth out the pads, helping the solder flow evenly. Alright, let's clean up the pads. After applying the low temperature solder, I add a bit of flux and use a wick together with the hot air gun to clean the pads. Because this area has many small chips, capacitors, and resistors, I avoid using a soldering iron to drag the solder. It's too easy to knock off tiny components. At this stage, we need a bit of patience. My hot air gun is set to a relatively low temperature, only 230 degrees. So the motherboard heats up slowly. You can see that, at the beginning, the solder joints get pulled up by the wick because the board hasn't been preheated yet. When we see the solder begin to melt, I pull the hot air gun back slightly to reduce the heating distance. This helps lower the temperature and prevents the motherboard from overheating or damaging nearby chips. When we see the section 4 start to weaken and the wick doesn't absorb the solder as smoothly, we can add a little more flux to help it along. A small amount makes the process easier and keeps the pads clean without stressing the surrounding components. That's about done. Now, we'll clean the area with PCB cleaner and get the board ready for installing the new chip. Before installing the new chip, we first clip on the ammeter to check the condition. We can see that when the power is applied, there's a 21 milliamp leakage. Next, we'll use the thermal camera to locate any hotspots on the board. We can see that on the opposite side of the corroded area. The small boost IC shows a hotspot at around 36 degrees when power is applied. In this case, we're going to remove it and replace it